I'm Nicole.
I'm Geraldine.
I'm Lauren.
And this is
Doing the Damn Thing, an entrepreneurship talk show.
Hi, my name's Carmen Veronica, and I am a photographer, videographer, dancer, and musician. I am here today to talk a little bit about what I do with photography and videography and how that might fit in with your business.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our latest episode of Doing the Damn Thing. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit the red button, subscribe, ring that bell, like this video, and you're going to share it. Today we have Carmen. We are so happy that she's with us today. So she is the woman behind the camera now, guys. So if you notice a difference in our video, it's because of her. So she's going to talk to us all about photography, videography, and what to look for. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be a part of this team.
Yes.
And I hope we can bring a new level of production to this, and you can just like sit back and relax and just let a professional handle it.
We could just be the talent now.
Yes, exactly. And they require a lot of coffee and snacks, but I think we can handle it.
It's true. It's true. Well, that's a good statement to lead into the whole purpose of this episode, actually, because we probably didn't know that we needed a videographer as much as we do, or editor.
Yeah.
But previously it was just cameras. We had somebody that was helping us who was a friend and who was very into the lighting, etc. However, he was not a professional, and having you around has already just in the short time that we've been working with her has really elevated us and helped us to see the value in having a professional help you.
Yeah, I think one of the things we realize is we do need, while we're filming, someone behind the camera, because we didn't think we set up the cameras, that's fine. We need to set up the mics and lights, it's fine. But it's good to have someone be like, actually sit this way and know this, someone just to catch those, so that way when Geraldine was editing the video, she wouldn't be like, oh my god, these girls. They're making my day longer. And now Carmen gets to edit all our videos and be like, oh my god, these girls.
Yeah, I've already started editing some of the previous episodes, so I'm having fun kind of seeing your guys' process through this whole time. And I heard you're coming up on your year anniversary here of the show, so congratulations.
Stepping it up.
Exactly, and I think that's kind of what I'm seeing in my personal business is like every year I'm really trying to just step it up and trying to do more things, and like part of that is coming out here and working on shows like this. This is definitely something that I would enjoy doing, just kind of doing production, and that includes sound and visuals and maybe some photos, and it's been really great working with you guys because you're giving me a chance to get behind the lens, which is exactly where I like to be.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky because, as we were stating earlier amongst ourselves, we were talking about how we all kind of are involved with multimedia in some aspect. We build websites, we do social media, etc. And so we have access to a lot of different people who do things like photography and videography. But what about for those of you out there who are entrepreneurs that might not have that in your network, and you're going to go out there and you're contemplating whether or not you should hire somebody, or maybe you don't even know what you don't know, which is all of the different ways that you can use video and photography for your businesses. So I think that Geraldine is one person. Well, actually, both Geraldine and Nicole use a lot of media to build up their brands, and so I think I would love to hear kind of what that's like, what you guys have found, and then also talk to Carmen about the ways that business owners can leverage you, and how to find someone that can work with you. So yeah.
I think that these days there's such an emergence of people wanting to see rather than read or listen to an audio. It's not always easy for people to consume media in that way, and video is more and more becoming more common, and people are getting really great at having short clips to say what they do, or short clips to express certain things. So for me, I'm always thinking about, for other people, as suggestions to them, well, you do a lot of speaking, or you do a lot of this or that, how come you don't have anyone capturing that for you? Because video could be very powerful to express who you are as well as sell a product. So that's why I was really excited that we chose to bring you on the show to talk about that, because I think it's not natural for people to think about video when it's not something they've always used or they've always had access to multimedia.
Yeah, definitely. And like with cell phones, you know, we can just throw a cell phone right in front of our face and take a little clip. And I see you guys doing that a lot. And it really brings that personal element to your brand, right? You get to see somebody talking, a live person, you know, maybe they're answering a question that was in the comments. Like that really brings that interaction that you're looking for probably in your social media marketing. And I'm still kind of building that. I kind of like to be a little more anonymous in my branding these days. You know, I'm like, just look at my images. I just want to be judged by my images sometimes. But I think it's time for me to bring my face into it a little bit more, maybe me as the brand too. So as a photographer, videographer, I can't hide behind my images either. Like I have to bring my personality, because when I work with people, if I'm doing a nice headshot for you or I'm doing some kind of visual representation of you, I need to know you. I need to get to know who you are. And part of that is like having a good conversation. So people don't realize that being a photographer, it's really interpersonal. It's really about getting to know your client and then really knowing what they do so you can accurately represent them.
Yeah, because you have the point of view of like imagery in general and all the different types of imagery, that someone who's coming to the table without so much of like that perspective, you can help them to see like, okay, you're coming to me for a headshot. That's great. Most people in business know that they need a headshot. If you don't know that, you should have a headshot. And but what are the other, in a photo session, what are the best ways to leverage your photographer, not just for a photo, like a headshot? Like we talked about lifestyle branding, right? Some lifestyle pictures. What might be a great way to leverage you, to book you to do, you know, 3 hours or what, you know, so that you can get a package, a reserve. We did that for Meet Gerald. I mean, for Doing the Damn Thing. We hired Carmen. That was our first work with her almost like a year ago. And she did a bunch of different photo shoots, and we can use those images now. But what are some of the things that you coach your clients to do that with?
So a lot of people I work with are mostly like models, people who want some nice glamorous shots sometimes, or maybe like I've worked with Nicole on some merchandise or different looks. I think what really works to get a wide range and a good value out of that one session with me is doing multiple outfits, doing multiple locations, and it might be a little more hard work in that moment, but then now it looks like a totally different day, you know? Like one outfit in one location can look totally different from another outfit in another location. So you can use those across the board. You can use those for a lot of different things. You talked about lifestyle. Maybe that's your brand. Maybe you're you know, a decorator of some sort, and you need to have maybe photos of people in a living room that you designed. You know, that would be a nice way to represent that in some lifestyle shoots. If you have a product, if you cook food, stuff like that, you know, you really want to put that visual out there. And with photography, you can take that and create your mini brand in there. You can make it your style, and you can really just take one photo and it can really accurately represent everything you do. And it doesn't have to be a boring headshot, you know, it could be you in action. Let's say you're a corporate person, you know, maybe we have you at your desk, you know, it sounds a little cheesy, but people want to see you in action, right? And they want to see like maybe a little bit more of your day-to-day. So that'd be a good way, like a lifestyle shoot, to bring that in.
I think that, Nicole, I've always wanted to ask you this, and I ask this from all of the different, like, every time I see my friends on Instagram that will have, like, a picture of them, like, stretching, going for a run, you know, that's not their business, and then there's, like, some statement about, like, you know, when you work hard, you da-da-da, or whatever, you know, you have, like, some statement, and to me, the statement doesn't always necessarily directly connect to that image. And it kind of fits in with the brand, and it'll fit in with the brand. But like, I see you do that all the time, and I'm just curious to know, like, what's your strategy, and how do you leverage a photographer in those, and how?
So for my personal,
all of it. You're just very good about posting pictures of yourself doing different things. I mean that in the compliment.
So for my personal one, it's just like me and my family. So, and my personal is public, so you guys could definitely just follow me if you want. I'm a little psychotic, guys. I do think about the Instagram post I'm going to post that day. Like, what is the story I need to tell? Like today, I have this sweatshirt that I need to get a photo in. So I figured this is a great place to take a photo. I'm bringing the sweatshirt today. Like, you have to think about it. But I'm always thinking of, what do people like to see me in? You know, like, not what do I want to show people, but you know how people, I mentioned in the video, put you in like boxes. So what are the ones that get like the likes in the conversation going? What do they want to see me in? And I notice a lot of times it's like, they do like it when I wear like my dresses. That goes well with the personal brand. And they do like it when it's more like outdoors. Like, they really like that natural light and the greenery and all that good stuff. So then I have to make sure I take photos of that. But that's why I work with photographers. So when I work with Carmen or work with other photographers, I know what photos I need before I go into the photo shoot. It's like, hey, I need these types of photos. How many can we get in this time? You know, and like having that conversation, and then they could tell me, oh, that might not be my expertise, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I want to come back to that point about the types of photographers and like how to hire one.
Mm-hmm.
And what I just heard you say is, one, that you judge a lot about how people like your stuff based on, it sounded like analytics and like how many people
and like
they like you,
because it
they
goes
likes
back
and
to
their
like
comments.
your personal brand. So maybe you think about it this way, right? So if people are starting to like photos that maybe aren't the adjective that you want them to use part of your personal brand, then you have to start changing the conversation. Or do you lean into it and be like, okay, maybe this is what people are perceiving me as, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is this going to help me bring in income?
So going into a photo shoot, you might already have like your brand clear. You're clear on your brand. You're clear on the type of adjectives that you want. Then you're clear on the types of photos. If I was to hand you a list of adjectives, which we did when we did the photo shoot with you for doing the damn thing, we had our brand personality profile, and we gave you some ideas before. I think we probably could have gone deeper if we had more of a system, like if we really had. But do you coach people to do that, or what would you do if someone gives you that? What did you do when we gave it to you?
Yeah, it's definitely good to have an idea of what you're looking at. So I'm like, okay, Nicole, are we going for a soft vibe? Are we going for an edgy vibe? Are we going for something a little more artistic, or we want something a little more clean and sophisticated? You know, it's good to know kind of the goals. Also the types of shots, you know, are we doing, we're needing to focus on your outfit, for example. Like, I'm trying to sell this outfit. Okay, well, we need to make sure I cover all the different points of that. Or, no, you know what, I'm actually really trying to sell these eyelashes that I'm featuring, so let's do some more close-ups. So different kind of directional things like that are important for me. Knowing how many looks you're going to do in a session would be great. So if we can only do an hour session, I would say, you know, that's pretty packed. We would have to time it out, you know, 10, 15 minutes per look, so that we get enough time to cover what we need to cover. If we're moving locations, I got to think about the time from moving one location to another. Sometimes it's good to meet up in a park setting, for example, so you have, like, especially photography, you don't need a huge backdrop. You can do a lot with a small area. So if we can go to some place where we can move quickly from one area to another and it can look different, that's helpful. So, you know, I might have to scope a location. If you want to do something outdoor, I got to go find some place that's going to be a good place at a good time. Usually magic hour is preferable. We've done a shoot at that time and the light is great. Magic hour, for people who don't know, is sunset. So about an hour or two before sunset, the light gets low. It's that beautiful golden light. And photographers love that. So that's kind of an ideal time. Middle of the day, it's too bright. Usually the sun is too high. You don't want to wash out somebody's face or have
sweating.
Sometimes for me, when I'm modeling, the sun is too bright and I can't even open my eyes, and that's really uncomfortable. So again,
all your photos are you squinting?
Yeah.
Or I do 1, 2, 3, open. And that's kind of a strategy sometimes, but it can be a little more difficult. So, you know, if people have time constraints, I will do it and we'll figure something out. I might shoot in shade only and not do sun, because that's a little easier. So thinking about the time frames that you're looking at is important for your shoot. So if you want something more warm, more soft, golden hour would be a great time for that. Just like thinking about your style, your adjectives really does help, like the kind of mood you're going for. Also, just like, what are you using this for? Are you using it for web? Are you using it for print? Are you using it for, different social
media.
media, whatever? So like that kind of helps me figure out how I'm going to edit them for you, or like the type of quality that we're looking at. If we want to do print, I got to make sure that that's nice and sharp, nice and big, if you're going to do a large poster. So it's like good to know in the editing process as well.
What about you? So Geraldine, you're also a videographer. You have part of one of your brands is. So as in terms of when you're getting set up can you talk a little bit about your process when you're working with people and kind of the different ways that people use your video, and then probably the two of you can parlay?
Yeah, I think what's really important for me is to understand the context, or what's the purpose of what it is that we're doing together. So oftentimes the folks that I'll work with, they are selling a service or rather than a product. Another example might be that we're working with a city that has a particular initiative. So it's always about a thing that's not
tangible.
a thing, So it's really important to understand what are the goals behind that. What do they want people to know? So that way we can be capturing the full picture. And sometimes that full picture isn't just filming them talking. Sometimes it means that we have to get what's called B-roll, which is all of the things that are related to what they're talking about. So it's not just someone speaking directly to the camera the whole entire time. So I usually like to have that initial interview just to get to know. And one thing, and I don't know if you experience this too, but one thing I find is that innately we all know what to say about ourselves, but we just don't always say it in the correct order. So oftentimes as a videographer, it's about understanding who they are, having them speak it, like you practice, and say, okay, that's really great. You know exactly what to say, but everything you said at the end, move that to the beginning. And then just kind of coach them through that process and make sure that it's really smooth. So in terms of the application of how the final product is usually used, for me, at least it's usually social media, on a website, on different types of media platforms, but that's just most of the people that we work with.
Yeah,
How about for you?
definitely. Videography is really special because you can capture so much. Like that B-roll would really enrich whatever this person is trying to show. It really shows the day-to-day, and film is so wonderful that it can make things look so beautiful. So you can actually really elevate what you do. Maybe you do something kind of monotonous, but there's a way to make that look exciting. And, working with this blog, I'm really excited to kind of bring a nice flow and a nice kind of more cinematic approach with this. And I hope we can expand and maybe do some like more B-roll and stuff with this too. But one thing I was going to say about, clients you may work with is that they might not know that videography could bring that to them. And, what if you hit somebody's website and there's just a video right away? Would you click on it? Would you watch the 30 seconds and just kind of, before you even dive into their website?
Probably. Well,
For me,
so.
I'm like, no.
If it's I'm like, if it's a pop-up video that comes up and it's very aggressive and abrasive, I'm like, no, I just
need the info.
I just need the info, and then if I want, then I'll click on the video. But if you're gonna throw this at me, I'm gonna be like, why are you throwing this at me?
Yeah, sometimes I kind of feel the same way. I might not want to click on it, but if it's short enough.
Yeah, if it's 15, I'm not someone. I'm either gonna go to a website, skim the pages, try to figure out what it is. If there's a video right on the front page, especially if it has sound. Not so much just the silent ones where it's I like those too, but that's not going to tell me anything. But yeah, I would click on it to see, okay, what's up? Maybe I can get more information in that 20 seconds than me looking through, And plus, especially if you're hiring someone to work with, personally, hopefully I'm going to get a flavor for whether I like them or not, or whether I think I'm going to jive with them.
And I think a lot of people feel that way where they're ready to watch a 30-second video. The YouTuber generation, they'd rather watch a 5-minute video on how to do something than read an article. Whereas I personally actually would like to read the article. But I think we're moving more and more into visual. We're moving more and more into that is what's getting most clicks. Whenever you have an image, whenever you have a video online, that's what's getting the most attention rather than just text. So people need to maybe expand their thinking on what video could do for them. Like you talked about speakers. You don't have any video of you speaking. That might be a problem, or it might, help you get more jobs if you're able to say look, this is me at a speaking event and this is kind of what I want to talk about. Then people get a good idea of what they want from you or what you can offer them. And yeah, I just think like it's a good just thing to have in your back pocket, like a resume, you know, and it's like something you can't really write down, like, yeah, okay, I spoke at this event, but like, what did that look like?
Well, that's what I was going to say too, is like or it's similar to what you're saying, is that I think being able to get something that's 30 seconds that tells everything that you're doing, it's that 30-second elevator pitch. But if you have a video, it really forces you to get really, so it has another purpose too, besides just like, oh, I want to hand this out. It helps you to get really concise and clear about what it is that you do. I really liked what you said, Geraldine, about how, you know, you ask people a lot of questions. When they're saying it, you're coaching them. You come from a business perspective, so I imagine that's actually a pretty special thing for people within a more creative industry. Not to say that they don't exist, but we had talked about how maybe that type of photography isn't the right photography. Like, don't just hire somebody because they came out of art school to do your business videos or whatever. So what are some of the things someone might be able to ask a contractor to know whether or not you're a fit for me?
Yeah, definitely like checking out their Instagram and their website would already be like the first kind of pass. I have a friend who actually does photography. His passion is to photograph people on bikes. So that's like his big thing, is like the fixie bike community here. And he does these really cool edgy photos. This is Malcolm Wallace Photography. Find him online, he's great. And just he told me because of those images, he's gotten work doing all different kinds of photography. So maybe they don't hire him for that photography specifically, but they like his style. And they say, okay, I like what you're going for here. You have a kind of a clear vision. Can you do my corporate headshots? Great, he's gonna do that. But so a lot of photographers can be pretty versatile. You might not be able to get that straight from their Instagram, but go with your vibe, you know, go with your instinct at first and say, you know what, hey, I like the way that you produce images, and then talk to the person. Maybe it isn't their expertise, maybe it is. So like that friend, for example, he also does weddings. That's a completely different realm of photography. I have done a couple weddings. I don't want to be a 100% wedding photographer because there are people who make their careers out of wedding photography and they do what they do really, really well. And the same goes for headshot photographers or events photographers. Like they have, it's all different environments. So you have to have different strategies and different abilities, different equipment. So maybe I don't even have the proper lens to capture your sports event. You know, if you want close-up shots of these players for a sports magazine, I don't even have the lens that could accommodate that. So I'm more geared towards portraiture. Like all my lenses are more geared towards headshots, portraits, modeling, that type of stuff. So it's all about your photographers kind of maybe their personal interests at first and then what they decide to pursue. So we are versatile, but people definitely have their strengths. So I would say as a consumer, go with your gut. See what kind of styles you like. See what they're putting out there as maybe their own passion. And if you like that, then you can tell them, like, I want you to do what you do best, which is my favorite thing to hear. I just want you to do what you do, you know, within my kind of ideas. But you're putting your trust in that person. And the idea is that you don't have to think too hard about it and just let them do their job. And then they'll be able to bring you a good product as long as you've been able to be clear about what you're looking for.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the portfolio, whether it be on their Instagram or on their website, that's key. You know, for someone to say, oh yeah, I could do that type of video and send you one video, that's not really sufficient enough for you to really get the sense of whether they can support you and what you're trying to accomplish in terms of look and feel. I like what you're saying about check out their Instagram and all their different things, even if it's not directly correlated with what it is you need. At least you kind of have a sense for the style that you might want your video to be having. The only thing about that is there are folks that get stuck because they're not sure if something's good or not. So in that sense, you know, having a variety is one thing. If you watch a few of their videos, does it seem clear? Like, so for example, if someone sends you 3 different videos and you're watching the videos and it's not really boring and there's just someone talking and clearly there's just a camera that's still, like, are they incorporating other things? Like we were talking about B-roll B-roll means other types of images to represent what the person is talking about. Another key thing is, do they have music in those videos? And does this vibe of the music seem to match everything that's being said? Does it seem like when you're even listening through your computer speakers that the volume of the music doesn't overtake or take away from the speaker on the video? All of these things can really change the message that the person's hearing on the video. Another thing is, are they skilled in editing in general? So is their video examples just things that they've shot, or have they also edited it too? Because some people don't do both. So you'll want to ask, are you going to film everything? Do you have the equipment that's necessary for this type of shoot? What would you bring? So if you know you're shooting in a really dark place, are they going to bring lights? That type of thing. Also are you going to edit this for me? And would you be able to incorporate B-roll or music? Because that's really going to enliven everything that's being shown on the screen.
Those are such good advice, and it's, as someone who doesn't do those technical things, it also can be very overwhelming, because I'm like, how do I know if this is but I see, like, when you're told to just check into something, it's easier, I guess, now that you've put that out there. So please,
we could put questions down.
As somebody, I know you do a lot of video, but mostly for yourself, right? So if you're gonna hire a video or a videographer or a photographer, what are some of the things you look at to decide who's where, what?
Yeah, I do look at their portfolio. Sometimes their portfolio is just on Instagram. And then if I know, like, going back to what Carmen says, if their style is a little bit different, then I ask, like, is this, because I'm always coming, like, I like to think of myself as like a passionate leader, so I'm always also asking them,
what do you need?
Yeah, basically, like, what do you need? Like, are these photos going to help your portfolio? Because I know I'm paying you for this one project, but is this going to help you get, like, the next job? Because I don't want it to mess up your whole aesthetic, you know what I mean? And so I asked that. I also asked, like, of course, like, the logistical questions, like the cost, how fast is the turnaround? Am I going?
I think that's something that people get really frustrated with photographers is they say, well, whatever happened with those photos, you know,
or videos too,
and they can get lost. And
because like I understand, like, it takes a while to edit, and maybe they booked other clients before you. So really asking them, like, all right, if we were to do this photo shoot this day, how long do I need to wait for my photos? Also, how do you send me those photos? Is it because, like, sometimes people, like, I have, Dropbox and Box and Google Drive, but then I'm also thinking, like, there's people out there, I have a sister that lives in, like, rural Texas, I'm pretty sure some of our clients, that would have to then now download Dropbox because they never used it before. And so it's like, ask those questions of, like, how do these photos come to me? And then and also if they're gonna, like, most of the time they'll edit the photos, but they might do, like, a discounted price if you just want the photos really fast and they're not edited. And be wary of that, because you're going to get a slew of photos that aren't edited. And if you are good at, like, editing, or if you're just going to do one filter on Instagram, that's fine. But ask those questions, basically.
Yeah, those are.
Another thing I will say is that it's important to let them know what format you need to deliver in. Because, so, an example, you might not know, that it needs to be a .mp4 or whatever. That's what I'm talking about, is let them know I'm going to be using this for Instagram and I'm going to be using this for YouTube.
Yes.
So, because sometimes what happens is that they can deliver it to you in a way where it's in a box, for Instagram, it's a square versus, YouTube, they would just upload it the way that the video actually comes out. So it's important for us to know as much context as possible of where the photos are actually going to go.
So some vocab for that too, for people who aren't familiar with files or, like, file types. A lot of photographers will shoot in what's called RAW, which is the largest file type possible, meaning that they can do all these edits. If they need to do crops, it's still going to be high quality, but then they might export them to give them to you in smaller files, which is usually JPEGs, and those aren't as high quality as the RAW, but they're still exported and from the high quality file. So if you say, you know what, I need the RAW files, great, your photographer would be able to deliver that. Or you say, no, I'm okay with the JPEGs because that's going to go straight to my YouTube, it's going to go straight to my Instagram, they're easier to put on your phone, they're smaller files, great. a lot of times I can do like I can load up a thumb drive, a flash drive for you, just so you can have the digital files. I pay for a hosting site that actually will deliver it into a portfolio where you can download the high quality photos. So yeah, being able to communicate kind of what file type you're looking for. For video, there's tons of different file types. There's .mov, there's .mp4, there's AVCHD. These are all different formats that I might be working with. But usually you might want a movie file, which is it can be opened on QuickTime, which is your Mac app, or your Windows Media Player, and those are kind of most widely used, and you can just throw that on your YouTube. MP4 is a little smaller, you know, so maybe like the quality is just more for web uploads. It's not cinematic. It's not for your, you know, your branding video. That might be a different format.
So one of the things I actually wanted to, like, when you guys were talking, I was like, oh my God, there's something that popped into my head, because I have messed up a few times in my life. But one of the things is, and make sure, because like remember, like they're videographers, they're photographers. They only have so much space to hold your photos and so much time, so much video. So the second you get them, do like if it's a Google Drive, make sure you add it to your actual like drive. So I tried to see if my video was there like a year ago. It's not. And I'm like, sorry guys.
That's very
Asking
true.
my videographer, I'm like, I know it was a year ago, but can you resend it? And then it's like they might not have it. They're like, dude, sorry. And then if they do, like if you have Dropbox or Box, just do direct download, so it's on your laptop. And then if you need to get an external hard drive so you're not taking up space on your laptop, that's definitely fine. But do know, like, they have other clients. They can't hold your they can't hold your photos for that long. So
Or if they do, sometimes what happens is we go through hard drives so fast, so you know, they get filled up. So for example, we needed one of our client testimonial videos from years ago, and I talked to the guy and he was totally willing to give it to us, but he can't figure out what hard drive it's on, and he has like 5 different hard drives. So he started to little by little go through the hard drives, but he hasn't found it yet. So and that's not our, you know, that's not his fault. You know, it's our bad for not downloading.
Yeah, definitely very important. I totally run into that where I've deleted stuff off my drive and then they go, hey, where is that? I can't access it anymore. So make sure you save your files and you keep them for you, because that's the whole point. You know, you need to keep your images on file. And also a filing tip on computers, nothing exists unless it exists in 3 places. So put it on a hard drive, put it on a cloud, put it on another hard drive, you know, so that way if one fails, if one gets deleted, if one gets lost, you have it in 3 places. I know that's kind of extreme. I don't follow this rule all the time, but it's something to consider.
I give you guys a lot of rules we don't follow.
But
Do as I say, not as I do.
Best practice.
Yeah, my friend who's a photographer, she does weddings. Her house burned down in the fire. She grabbed a bag that she swore was it. It wasn't it. So all of her work.
And if it was on a cloud, maybe you wouldn't be able to access it. So that's like actually a really cool thing that we have these days is the cloud storage.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
Cool.
All right. So I guess any last final tips?
Just think about your business, whatever it may be, in a visual sense. You know, since we talked about how that's such a great thing right now and everybody's really into visuals, just think about how that might work its way into your business. And if you're looking for a photographer, I don't know how other people find photographers, to be honest. I get a lot of my jobs through word of mouth. So maybe just asking around and saying, like, is anybody who has worked with a photographer, did you like them? How was the experience? You know, maybe you can send them their contact info and you can start shopping around. If I personally can't do what you're looking for, I might refer you to somebody else. So start looking at that as something that might enrich your business, I think.
Thank you. And I had a little tip off of that. Sorry. If you find like one of your friends with a really good Instagram photo and you know it's taken by someone else, like click on that person's account and see if they are a photographer and see like, and that's how I found other photographers. I'm like, oh, I really like that photo. Like, let me see.
Instagram is a great place for that since it's so visually oriented. So good luck out there with all of your image quests, and I hope to maybe work with any of you soon.
Yes. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us again for our latest video. And as usual, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. See you next week.
Bye.